and I bounced around on his bike, and we were joking about it feeling like a reverse hardtail because the fork like
What?
did not. It felt like a 2x4,
Oh my
and the
goodness.
shock is so active and supple. You like bounce, and like just the back end of the bike goes down.
God.
Happy New Year, crew.
Happy New Year.
You guys have a good holiday intermission?
No,
No.
half of it sucked because we had the flu and we were just down and out. Like
Oh,
right.
103 or 4 fever for like 3 days. It was
No
awful.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
did
I
it
think
start
I-
with one of the kids, and then you're just like, "Oh, it's coming, it's
Yeah.
coming."
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's coming. And
That's
then like,
the
oh, I
worst.
think I feel it. It's not that bad. And then it got real bad. So yeah, but yeah, but no, it was good. Aside from that, it was forced downtime, you know, and there's no snow. It's just raining. So they're like, there's no skiing or snowboarding. There's not a whole lot of riding here right now. So, yeah. What are you going to
Yeah.
do? Build some
There's a
Legos.
story everywhere. Just
Yeah,
rain. It's
build
been
some
so
Legos.
warm.
Did the kids get Legos for Christmas?
They did. Yeah. They're pretty Lego nerdy, and we found some pretty sick sets on Facebook Marketplace that we'd never afford like at the store. But it's kind of
Oh,
like
yeah.
buying a used bike, right? You know, and so
Dude, they're so expensive. It's
they're crazy
insane.
expensive. Yeah. So
I'm
they're
pretty
psyched.
out of touch in the Lego world. Is it
But dude,
like, is that a thing?
you got to get in there. It's pretty wild.
You got to get in there.
Dude,
So when you
they have these sets now that are like garden scapes and stuff. So like you build them and you just like put it up as a piece of art.
really,
Like
Yeah, it looks like
yeah,
a pot of flowers
Yeah.
or something.
yeah.
is it still
Yeah.
targeted towards kids more? Because that almost sounds like an
I
adult
think
type
so.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, there's a massive adult kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
following with people collecting sets and buying sets and not opening them, and like comic books almost. Like it's crazy.
When you buy a used Lego set, is it deconstructed?
No, so the ones we got were assembled, and they got a Lamborghini and a Bugatti, like these huge
Sick.
sets, like basically the biggest sets they've ever gotten, and they have like 3,000 pieces each, like super insane. But Kelly and I got them, and we got them like 2 weeks before Christmas. I'm like, we got to take these apart, and it took us 2 weeks to take them apart so we could give it to them because they had the manuals and all that stuff, and so they're still working on them. Usually they blast through the builds, but these are sick. Like, dude, it's like working suspension, like the cylinders in the engine go up and down. There's like transmission, like you shift it and it changes gears. Like it's insane how tech these
Yeah.
things get. So it's pretty cool.
And I suppose you have to get them assembled so that you're guaranteed that it has all the pieces, right?
Yeah, it's kind of what we figured. Roll
Yeah,
of the
during
dice.
the
but-
pandemic, we took Ava down to Seattle Center, and they had a Lego exhibit there, and it was insane. They had like a 9-foot tall Eiffel Tower,
Mm.
Damn.
huge, like 14-foot long cruise ships, like with all the sides all open, so like all the scenes inside, like it's
Yep.
so cool.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Legos were fun. The last time I did anything Lego related was flying out of London 2 summers ago, and you walk through the gift shoppy, like you said, like all the alcohol, like in that no man's land after you go through customs, whatever that's
Yeah,
called.
yeah.
Duty
I know.
free.
Duty free.
Duty free. Yeah.
They had a little double-decker bus Lego set, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of fun. And it had to have been no more than 50 pieces, and I swear it took me like an hour to put together. The idea of
It's because
3,000 pieces.
you're a Lego rookie.
That's right.
Well, I'm like double checking, making sure everything's going the right way. I mean, it's 3 by 4 inches, it's like super tiny.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
awesome.
picturing the user manual, because everything's pictures with how to put those together. Typically, there's like
Yeah.
no words, if I remember right. So it's
Yeah.
pretty, it's a
Yeah.
lot of
And
interpretation.
there's all kinds of weird things. Like you can't say Legos plural. It's always Lego. Like you have super whack style if you say Legos. So like it's just like bikes or skating or whatever. There's all these weird little cultural things within it.
Mm-hmm. It's not possessive.
Right.
Lego my ego.
Cool.
Love that. Well, the chat today is going to be pretty reflective on a bunch of things. So
Love it.
maybe we just start chatting about it. I put my notes together last week, and then this morning I was like, I don't remember what I put together, if I put together enough things, and there's enough in there. It looks like you added a bunch of stuff too, Lars, so
Yeah, at the
should give us
12th
plenty to
hour
talk about. Yeah.
last night.
It's kind of how I want this podcast to always be, is I'm like, I can't commit too much time to it because it's not the vibe we're going for. Like, it just starts taking me hours to pre and like post to get it out. Might not be easy to do every week. So, plus it keeps it lighthearted. But Spomer, do I need to rip an intro? Can you chop up what we've been talking about as an intro?
Yeah, rip an
Okay.
intro. Why not?
All right, here we go. The title of this one is Out with the Good, In with the Gooder. Happy New Year's, everybody. Welcome
Happy
to
New Year.
episode 4, Vital MTB's podcast show, Bikes Unaffiliated. In case you haven't tuned in, because it's only our 4th one, this is our spot to chat about bike-related topics that aren't exactly tied to current events, racing, reviews, things like that. I'm Jason Schroeder. I'm joined, probably as always now, by Lars Sternberg of Flowcraft MTB and Vital Content Director, Sean Spomer in the background, pulling the strings. Today we are going to chat about what things did we love in 2025, bike and non-bike related, and what has us excited looking ahead to this year. And before we do that, how we've been kicking these things off is with our What's In, What's Out segment from last week. We've been off for 2 weeks, so maybe there's a few extra things. Lars, I'll let you kick off your list.
Yeah, so I've been trying to think about this leading up to the pod. And what occurred to me the few minutes before we got started was just being stoked on watching my daughter grow up. This year, Christmas, she learned a thing about Christmas. She coerced us into telling her probably the biggest secret about Christmas. So it was a little different. She's 9 now. So it definitely changes the dynamic a little bit. And just reflecting back and, the thing that makes it bike related for me is that she has a sick little ripcord and she rides it, but it's not like her thing. So she's got all this other stuff. She does dance. She's like in a number of art classes. One of our family members gave her an electronic keyboard a couple of years ago, and just watching her slowly gravitate towards wanting to use it. And so we're getting her signed up for piano lessons, but like every morning and afternoon she's in there and she has no idea how to play it, like the structure of it, but she's already like trying to learn. She's like making a song basically,
Yeah.
and she keeps going back and repeating it. And so just watching her grow and mature and trying to take stock in like being along for her journey in that. So I think that's something that's got me really stoked. And my what's out is not just a what's out. There's a little caveat there, but seeing all of the people pull out from racing and retire right now, it's like kind of bittersweet. And it's funny being at the stage that I am, my age and time I've been around biking, I've been able to watch most of these people's careers, and like when they started, I was still kind of in it, and now they're retiring, and I'm like, you're retiring, you just started, kind of. So that's a little weird, but I think that's just the nature of how things are going these days. Like seeing Jack, in particular, like I'll call him out, one of the most badass athletes of all time, and can't find a ride, and is like, yeah, I'm done banging my head against the wall trying to get a ride. And the caveat to that is the massive curiosity that I have to see what these people get into now, and how they choose to remain involved, or if they fully just like check out or whatever. So curious to see how all that goes.
Yeah. I know Jack peacing out was definitely bittersweet. But, I feel like Spomer I've talked about in the past where a lot of the other action sports we're really into does maybe a better job than mountain biking of keeping athletes in the industry. And we do that, but maybe not as like celebrated. They kind of end up behind the scenes at brands or something. And that was my first thought with Jack, because I think at the bottom of his post, he's like, if any brand needs some sort of content creator type individual like me, hit me up. And I'm like, dude, he's an awesome asset for
He's so good.
multiple avenues. And so
Oh, yeah.
hopefully he ends up somewhere, and then he's also like front facing for the brand, and we get to keep seeing him,
Totally.
Yeah. Jack is one of the cooler dudes for sure. It was cool
For
going through
sure.
all of his slides and remembering all the stuff he's done.
Such a stoker.
I applaud his decision if it's a matter of, if I'm going to do this, I need X to live on or X to do it well, rather than just string along a career of getting some free bikes and, kind of going broke and getting beat up. Like if he's like, no, if I don't get 50 grand, 100, I don't know what the number would be, but if I don't
Right.
get that, I'm not going to do it. I think that's pretty awesome. It's sad for us because he is one of the best dudes out there making content and having fun and covering like the events. But yeah, if he's being smart about it and thinking about, his future, I think that's awesome for him. So
Yeah.
hopefully he gets
Yeah, I think
scooped up by
he
someone.
knows his value,
Yeah,
and knows what
totally.
it takes to do it right.
Yep.
So yeah, I agree.
You want to go, Spammer?
Yeah, one
Some
second. I
leftovers.
dropped this light, waiting for the house to catch on fire. Thankfully, with LEDs, stuff won't burn down now because they're not as hot.
Mm.
All right, take two. Okay, ins and outs. Mine's not as heartwarming and heartfelt as Lars. It's a little more surface level, but like what's in was Chad Otterstrom's Bombhole podcast. Love that dude. Looked up to him for so long. Remember hiking the pipe at Keystone and Breck with him being there and just being total fanboy. It was super fun to listen to for old school kind of snowboard stuff. And then it turned me on to their midlife crisis video that he was part of with Blaze Rosenthal and these other dudes. It's kind of just a bunch of old dudes snowboarding and girls too. And just looking back and be like, oh man, I remember them. That was so fun. They're just at Mount Hood in the summertime, hitting pipes and stuff. Nigel Houston's Rough Cut, dude.
I watched that. That was gnarly.
He's so bonkers. Like you see him at Street League and like, how good he is. But dude, in the streets and the fact he's in like his boxer shorts, more or less, like his kit, whatever you want, he runs it and it's sick. But like there's so much skin exposed. When he slams it, it just stresses me out. And he takes it. That was cool to see. Like him being in the streets and just, I don't know, kind of getting beat up and earning it was pretty cool. So, the other what's in I have is got the Hurly Burly book from Misspent Summers, Sven and Boris Thing and James McKnight puts it out. And in there's an article by Nush Lee. I think she helps run Steel City Media stuff, but she does an article and it's on women racing and them dealing with their periods, which was fascinating to me because she writes it and she talks to Nina Hoffman and Anna Newkirk, kind of the biggest. It's like a 1.5 page article. It's not super long, but it's really fascinating. But as a naive man, I just always assumed like, oh, if it's race day and you have your period, like that's gotta suck. It's gotta be terrible. And Nina tells a story about going into World Champs and basically like her period started during race day at World Champs, and it bummed her out. Like she, kind of implied it impacted her. But then they talked to Anna Newkirk, and she says that she kind of gets empowered when her period starts, and it actually makes her, it kind of helps her do better. And so it was really interesting because it seems like such a taboo thing. Like clearly I'm not bringing it up or talking about it. Like I don't feel like it's my place to, but the fact that the crew over at Misspent had Nush, put this together and that Nina and Anna talked about it, and they kind of imply they hope it can be, sort of less taboo and, go in the future. It was really fascinating to me, something that I would have never expected to, kind of get hooked on. And reading it, I was like, it was probably the most interesting thing in the book because it wasn't just like a recap of the race or something. It was something that, I don't know, never really hear about. So it was, thought it was really cool. So.
I feel like it puts, it's more impressive what women can do at races, thinking about things like that. you know,
Yeah, and
even if
just
you're
thinking about
just depending on like where you are in your cycle and how that affects like everything, you know, energy and emotions and all of that when racing is like super intense on your energy and your emotions, you know? Yeah.
for sure,
I've
and it's
thought
so
for a long
structured.
yeah, yeah.
Totally.
Like I've
Like the
thought for a
race
long time it
calendar is
would
this, and if it comes up, like you
yeah,
just have to
what do you
deal.
do?
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've always thought it'd be cool to do a story like that, but yeah, like you're saying, like we're not the ones, we wouldn't be the most educated to head something like that, even if we think it would be really cool. It'd be sweet to have more information on all of that, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially as
And if
our
there's
user base expands with having more women. So,
Yep. Yeah. If there's any women out there that are, down to kind of spearhead this and, dig in deeper, I would love that. I think it'd be super cool. So, yep.
Just managing the energy swing related to it, like you
so
focus
impressive.
so hard on the peaking that one day and then to have this like curveball come in.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I know.
Yep. So
We have it so easy.
seems like it. Yeah, for sure. There was, I don't know if it was a Freakonomics or This American Life or something, but they talked about this person that went around, and it was some kind of study thing, but basically they had created like a menstrual cramp machine that you could hook a man up to, and they would hook the women up and be like, yeah, that feels about right. They'd hook the men up to it, and the men would just be done. Like, just shoot me now. Just kill me. This is the worst. There's no way it's this bad. And when we're like, yeah, I deal with this all the time. And all the dudes are just laid out on the floor, just dying. And so I mean, obviously I have no idea what that experience is like. I have my wife and, we go through her things together, but it's such a thing that they have to deal with it. We have no idea. So
It's like when men get sick. Oh
yeah.
gosh,
Oh,
I
Yeah.
can't.
I had the flu. Oh,
You don't understand.
yeah. Yeah. So, my what's out is the flu. We already talked about it a little bit, just getting sick, but it was a fascinating reflection on how gnarly the body is and what can be done to it so easily. Like something I can't see or even comprehend can just nuke me, done, like laid out. So I don't know. It's kind of fun to just be so shelled and just sitting there like, whoa, this is kind of crazy.
By a microscopic virus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Aliens.
Yep.
You know, really what is that? We don't even know. Can't see it.
Yep. All you,
Okay.
Jason.
All right. What's in? I have Supercross starts this coming weekend. Very hyped for that.
Does it really?
Does A1. Yeah.
What platform is it on? Is it on
I
Peacock
think it's still Peacock,
Or?
Mhm.
as far as I know.
Okay.
Yep.
Sweet.
It'll be live in front of my eyes on Saturday, though, so doesn't even matter. Stoked for that. A lot of team changes. If you follow Moto, follow Vital MX because it's about to ramp up with a lot of coverage, so that'll be cool. I made a rut track yesterday with some friends.
Oh,
saw that.
sick. 50 to 1 guy. What's up?
I know.
Yeah.
So I
I'm just
thought
kidding.
about you,
UK guy.
Stromer.
No, it looked just like that. I was like, wow.
We
I
were
think
kidding
was that
about
kid
it.
Merrick there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw his first, and I was like, oh, it's a sick rut track like the UK kids.
Yeah.
And then
That was pretty much what we were saying in the moment.
yeah,
We were just, if anybody's in San Diego driving the 5 south between La Costa and Lucadia, there's a hillside right off the freeway that's just like a grass hill. And I did a road ride yesterday morning, and then everybody wanted to ride, but we were all kind of like too tired to pedal. And I was like, we need like the high school vibes, going to like a dirt lot again and just throwing a shovel and like dicking around on something. And John and Merrick were like, oh, there's a hillside last winter. We like rode in some ruts. I'm like, yeah, let's just go there. And we rolled up, and it started raining, and it rained the entire time we were there. Like the whole time we were doing it was raining. And so everything we started chopping in just got deeper and deeper. And yeah, it was super fun. I've been like pulling dirt out of my eyes all morning.
yeah,
But
awesome.
yeah, that was great. It was very lighthearted because we've had a good weather window of it raining but being warm lately. And so a lot of our trails that people have been digging on are like insane too. On Saturday, I went and rode and ran into Bubs and Eddie digging and like shrouping some sick berms. And yeah, it was it was good. But that was a nice mix for sure.
Sick.
Okay, 2 videos for What's In. There's a Ben Ferguson snowboard video called Cinders. I think it might even be on Red Bull Snow. Definitely go watch that. It's just epic, aggressive snowboarding. And then Austin Sweeten has a video called Blur. Another one that's like, I think the caption is this video is supposed to feel like interpretive jazz music, where it's like 10 minutes of just kind of like a constant song and snowboarding, but it's got like a bunch of pros in it, but it's almost like a homie video, but a bit more artistic. Both those are good. They got me, they're probably the first 2 videos this winter that have actually got me stoked to go snowboarding, because it's not like I see like spins and I can't catch air on a snowboard, so it kind of means nothing to me. But if somebody's like charging a pillow line, I'm like, oh, I can almost imagine like how that might feel. So there's a lot more of that, which is cool. Okay, what's out? My garage is flooding because it's been raining so much. It's been kind of a bitch. My van keeps having random things happen. Like my vent handle broke over summer and I still haven't gotten it. I actually just got the part last week. It's been an ongoing thing, but like I don't have a vent. Started making like rattle noises at different RPMs that I think I have figured out is some different things that are actually like just loose underneath that basically at certain like vibrations resonate and make noise. But it's just another thing to fix. And then I went to open my slider door on Saturday morning, and like the slider doors on the Transits, and I have a panel on mine, it's on the inside, so it's pretty heavy. So you kind of got to like lean into it as you pull the handle to slide it open. And I go to do that motion and the handle just rips off and I go flying backwards into the parked car next to me. And I'm just holding the handle in my hand. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So now I have to like open my passenger door to open my slider door. Just another thing, you know, but it's all good.
You got to turn your low speed compression down to get those.
Yeah. My low speed aggression or my high speed aggression in the morning, apparently. Jesus.
I like that. Low and high speed aggression.
Okay, last what's out is Jet Lawrence got hurt before the Supercross season started. And
he did?
Yeah, he's out for the season with like broke his leg or something. I think he might have did like your lower tib fib where you do an ankle that breaks your tib fib. I forget. I didn't really look into it that much. He already had surgery and he's out for the season, which, I mean, he's the dude, you know, of like the generation. So to not get to see him is a bummer, and I'm a fan of his. I think the silver lining is that he probably would have won a lot of things this year. So to have him out will make who's racing for wins a lot more competitive versus second place sort of vibe. And there's a lot of team changes this offseason, so like still optimistic it'll be a good year, but it's always a bummer. He's been so hot and cold. Like anytime he is racing, he wins literally everything, and then he's hurt the rest of the time, which is nuts. So
the other silver lining is that he's so young.
Dude.
You know, he'll bounce back.
He's so young, but he's like won everything. I'm like, how much longer is he even going to want to keep racing? Like, he doesn't have much left to do. He's kind of almost done like soon enough, he'll done everything twice. And then it's like, I guess you do it a third time. I don't know. I talk about cashing in on some money too. Holy cow. Oh, I forgot what's in is Dak and I podcasted on Friday for his new team launch, which goes live in 2 days. I doubt you'll get this out by then. So,
got any spoilers?
Yeah.
You want to share? You know, just
I mean,
Scott, any spoilers?
Little tidbits. So,
I know. I'm like, Spomer, how quickly do you think you can edit this by? His announcement's Wednesday. I feel like this will come out on Thursday.
We could make it come out sooner.
Yeah, we can make it. We'll just make it come out Thursday, and we can just talk about it right now, real quick.
Okay, do it.
Yeah. So he's writing for Scott. With
Scott to be kidding me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Spomer pretty much said. I guess we have to talk about it now. Cool. This has to come out afterwards. I actually opened that podcast up with like, it's been a lot of talk on our forums, but we finally can talk about it. You know, Dak's joining the dream team with Asa, Anna Newkirk on Frameworks Racing. And then I just kind of stopped, and Dak was like, and he's like wearing a Scott shirt. he's like, what? He's like,
he like slides back a little bit.
Yeah. I was like, I just wanted to see what you would say. He's like, I don't know what to say.
Is he wearing the goggles too?
No, that would have been funny too. He will be wearing, yes, I guess for the season, yes. In the podcast,
yeah,
he wasn't.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah,
What does he think of the bike?
he he hasn't ridden it a ton, classic Dak. But I mean, I got to balance like what we talked about on air and off air because, I mean, he's pretty real. Like Dak's always real. That's why people love him. The bike is good. He said it really wasn't that hard to get used to so far. Like it's been
That's
fairly
sweet.
natural, but it's different in certain ways. Like maybe like compliance wise. I don't remember what he said, if it was like stiffer or flexier than what he's been on, but that like any brand, he's like, because that was one of the main things I want to talk to him about. I'm like, yo, you've been on bikes the last 2 years or the last 3 years, 4 years that you've been developing, where now you're showing up at a brand that pretty much has almost a brand new bike. Like it came out this or last year now. Um, but they're already talking about little things they're trying to change with it and stuff. And it's always evolving. I think all the factors of getting on a team between trying to get paid money, trying to be in an environment that you foresee being a good one at the races, your teammates, like all of those things. And this also being kind of a weird year with he said, he's like, dude, there was more riders than there were teams pretty much. Um, and with like YT going down and having Hoshin and Kolb, they were pretty much like the hot commodity. And so he was kind of waiting a little bit until they got picked up to really have something get figured out. Um, Sounds like Kolb was like shopping himself around pretty hard. Um,
In the season last year.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
once he kind of knew he needed to find a team and he was
Right.
kind of the main male rider that people wanted. And so I'm pretty sure he probably was in chats with Scott, I would assume, because they were one of the teams looking to fill a rider. But yeah, Dak seems pumped on, well, he signed a 3-year deal. So that's sick
Nice.
because he
Yeah,
hasn't
that's
been on a
super cool.
3-year deal since Da Vinci, which I think ended in 2020. So that's good. The team is a mixture of like Europeans, but then also like people who speak English primarily, which is kind of a big thing. I mean, Mondraker, he had a mix, but it was a Spanish team, and there's elements to dealing with that. So, yeah, I think overall he's thankful having had like a really good first year Mondraker, and then last year everything that happened and kind of having to like reprove himself that like Scott came to him first. I think that meant a lot to him, and like
Yeah.
feeling like they believed in him and saw a value in him as like, you're going to come back at some point, and we're hopeful that that means like winning World Cups, but you yourself, we see a lot of value in too, which is kind of
That's
what I've
awesome.
told Dak for a long time, and he believes
Yeah.
it more now than he ever did. And it's funny too, because I asked him, I feel like we hear all the time what like riders are looking for from teams. I'm like, what were they looking for from you? Like, and he was saying that a lot of it did have to do with like his persona, him being American, his kind of, him being a part of like, just like the downhill Southeast and like American racing and all that. And then he's like, yeah, and like the podcast is a big part of that. And I was like, so what's our kickback? What's B Practice's kickback on all of this?
You get a rebate, right?
Yeah, right. I'm like, I don't think we do much with Scott, and they're gonna have a hell of a lot
Especially
of
with
branding
Tanner
in
in
the
there too.
podcast. Yeah, and Tanner rides for Scott. So I'm like, you guys give me a downhill bike or what? Come on. Yeah. So no,
Is
it was cool.
Benoit still on Scott?
Yes. Yep.
Sick.
And he's like, I mean,
I
Dak
imagine he's pretty dope teammate.
Yes. Yeah. And then Ethan Craik, and then there's a new female rider that I don't know when that news actually comes out. She used to ride for a pretty boxy team, which I didn't really know that was, she was changing teams. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And he seems stoked on that too. Like, I mean, Ethan's British, right? British, yeah. So I mean, he's American speaking, and then new girl rider, American speaking. So like, I think that is something that and like their personality, obviously. And then even Benny B seems like a really cool dude, and Dax knows him a little bit through the years of racing, and he's definitely like their premier rider, I would say. Um, and Dax, I think, kind of like okay with that a little bit, like getting on a new team. Uh, like Benoit developed that bike a lot last year. And so there's a lot of benefit for Dakota kind of having that asset to lean on to help get set up on the bike and all those things. So yeah, and Scott too. Maybe in the US we forget it a little bit more, especially if we're focused on gravity racing, but like they're freaking huge. Like they're
Hmm.
a very big, solid brand. And I think Dak feels a lot of safety in that. Like he already went over to, I think they're in Switzerland and like toured their facility and all of that. And um, yeah, it's cool. I just feel for him because he's jumped around between teams so much the last 5 or 6 years that him just being on a 6-year team or a 3-year deal and being
Hmm.
consistent and all of those things, I think is really positive for him. So
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that's so
awesome.
rad.
yeah,
Okay.
and
And to
Do you
have
know?
he's
a
getting
bit of a
stronger and all that.
mentor and a teammate
Yeah,
with Benoit
yeah,
at
Yeah.
his level, that's got to be sick.
yeah, totally. So
Do you know
he's looking
if
for a mechanic too. So if anyone out there's a wrench, maybe drop in the DMs.
sweet? Do you know
Yeah,
if they're still on Michelin's? Did that
they
come
are.
up at all?
Mhm.
They are. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that was like a big topic too, is he's no longer Maxis, he's no longer 100% eyewear. And those are two brands that like he was very forthcoming about, like that was hard to move on from, and from product to just the people at those brands. And uh I think Dakota's always done a good job of keeping relationships and having good relationships with people. So because you never know, he could be on a team in 3 years that has both those sponsors. So, but he's still Adidas for shoes, and then I think the bike is Fox Shimano, and I forget they're DT wheels, which I think might be new for the team, but he was pretty hyped to be on DTs. I think maybe when he was on Morpheus he used to buy those, but yeah, he was pretty stoked on that. So back on alloy wheels.
Yeah,
Um,
because Scott knows
Morpheus.
Synchros, right?
what was that?
Scott knows Synchros, like their
Yeah, that was actually
component
another
brand.
topic, was like, what are you gonna do for bars? You can have a one-piece stem bar that's 90 mil rise, and eventually we got out of them that they're working on a
Bar
bar for
mounted
him.
on top of a bar.
Yeah, little barception. It's got like the kids ride shotgun mount, but just for his own bars. Yeah, yeah, I'm stoked. It'll be cool. And they've they've got, because it's Scott gear, they've got a lot of cool team kits coming, and maybe more so of that stuff that he hasn't had as much in the past. Like Alpine Stars, they were kind of just the Blue Man crew every weekend. It wasn't too much variety. So yeah, it'll be cool. I think he said they have team camp of some sorts in early February. And then sometime after that, we're going to try to podcast again to get like an update on how bike stuff is going and just all of that, now that he'll spend more time on it. He said he's
Sweet.
finishing off his amateur motocross career season right now. He's like, dude, I haven't ridden
Oh,
mountain
yeah.
bikes at all. He's like, I've just been riding dirt bikes, but like starting next week, I'm gonna start riding again. I'm like, all right, cool.
Wait, do you know if
Probably
he's
for the
doing
better.
like US races before South Korea, or is he going to kind of lay low for just World Cups?
I imagine.
Yeah, I would
So.
assume he is. I don't
Yeah,
actually know for
backyard.
sure.
So, yep.
We chatted a little bit about, just the first race being in South Korea where no one has been, and the new venue. And Dak was saying that like the logistics of a lot of things have been kind of like a talking point with teams, just like all of the little things, like getting food, getting a car for everybody, like accommodations for everybody. And you kind of deal with that everywhere, I think, but it sounds maybe more unique there, maybe more so even than just because they've never been there before. So, and because I was like, yo, is it good or bad that you're going to a new track, first race of the year, on a new team, new bike? Like, you're not going to Leo Gang where the team's probably got like, this is where we stay, this is where the pits go. And you're like, I'm a little stressed about it for sure. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. I'm like, at least it's new for everybody. And then you you get it out of the way, sort of thing. Like, hopefully it doesn't taint the rest of the year, but like you'll go into familiarity from that point on. So yeah, that'll be crazy. That'd be a cool one to try to go to, but Maybe not the
Yeah.
first year. I don't know. It sounds like it could be hectic.
Yeah. And is it going to
If
be
I-
a night race?
I don't know. Ask me the week before.
Yeah.
Night race?
That's because didn't they do night enduro stage
Uh-huh.
there or
But that was-
something?
Yeah.
I think the rumor was it was going to be a night downhill race. So yeah, maybe not the first year, but
Yeah, just
I don't know. We'll see.
more circus
If
act,
I was
please.
going there to race, I'd be almost as psyched for the food.
Mm-hmm.
Bibimbap
Yeah.
for the authentic bibimbap and hot pots. And
Oh, that's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be cool. All right. Hold on, I'm losing so many screens open. All right. Let's chat a little bit about what we were stoked on from last year, but I need to give a shout out to our vital user. I think it's Ervan, like Evan, but EVWAN. Pretty sure I spelled that out right. They started a forum thread that was things you loved this year, which was an awesome topic. And
Mhm.
got to give a disclaimer. They put this up based on Pink Bike's articles they were putting up from things their editors liked, which is also a good idea. But from this forum thread, I thought it'd be cool for, just to kind of go through, give some shout outs to different users that dropped what they liked last year. I'm sure it'll probably spark some convos on our end. And then we can probably run through some things that had us stoked in 25 and things that we're stoked on going into 26. So to kick this off, I'll give a shout out to Ervan, who started this forum. Their things that they were hyped on from 25 was braking less stuff, Maven calipers, or Maven caliper with Shimano or TRP levers, which I think is pretty neat, and downhill bikes. And they also had Avery magnetic flat pedals, which really sparked my interest because that is not something immediately I would be interested in trying. But after their quick little review of really liking them and them kind of having a mixed clip flat feel, has me interested.
Hmm.
Have you guys ever tried a Maven Shimano mix?
No. I see it in our forums all the time, and sometimes I'm like, you know
Movano?
what? What's that?
Havana?
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Yeah, Shigura. Funny enough, when I was at Anderson on Saturday, ran into JD Swanigan's dad, who had a brand new
John, right?
Yeah, John.
Yeah.
The brand new is it M-Flow? That's the
Oh, yeah.
e-bike. Yeah, Amflow, not M-Flow.
Amflow, yeah.
Amflow.
Did he
had
buy
a
it
brand
off
new
of
one of those.
Did he buy it
And-
off of Cymic like you were talking about?
No. That's funny. No, he had a freshie and it was super nice, but he had Shiguras with the new XT levers. And I was like, oh, because, Shimano changed their oil this last go around with their brakes. It's still mineral. It's just their low viscosity oil. But I kind of think oil might be oil in some regards. And his brakes felt great. I was like, do you mind if I feel those? Like, I haven't seen anybody mix these yet. So he seemed to be getting along fine with them. I know, dude. In our
Which
forums,
oil do you use?
See,
Up to two, right?
I would, and that's where I'm not a brake expert, right? Like that's the question I would have, and like what would go, like would you ruin something like seals and stuff if you don't use the exact oil? But a lot of I'm sure someone at Shimano, Eddie's listening to this, like pulling his hair out, but like I think that you, in my mind, I would run the low viscosity oil because that seemed to be the factor that made these new XT and XTR brakes work a lot more consistently. So I would just stick with that if I was going to do my Shigura setup.
Or do you just suction like half of the system's oil out and then put the levers
Backfill the
oil
rest.
and it just stays in the front and then the caliper oil stays in the back?
Like a multi-rate spring? Like,
Yeah. I like green in the back, blue in the front.
Yeah. It does, I haven't what did you just say? The shaven? What was the combo you put together?
Movano.
Bono, yeah.
Movano. That one has me interested for sure. Like, but the thing is I like the feel of a Maven lever and I like the power that Mavens create. So I probably would just run the whole system, where I'm not in love with the feel of a Shimano lever per se. And a lot of people do love that. So I guess if you're trying to get more power, mix that shit up. But I'm just glad everything's going to mineral oil, really, at the end of the day. It's a lot easier. And it'd be so nice if we could just decide that, like, somebody out there has surely tried the oil and all the brakes, but being able just to own one brand of oil would be super nice. Because I've got like a little bottle from everybody, and it's super annoying. Those bottles are never meant to be stored. That's a what's out forever, is like, give me the Shimano style little bottle where it has like the rubber seal popper deal on the top so it doesn't leak. Dude, every time I pull out like a SRAM bleed kit, half the oil is in the little container I left it in. It's the freaking worst. Tangent.
Mineral oil anxiety.
Yeah.
I put the wrong color in.
Yeah, right. Oh, is it supposed to be green or red or light red, or I don't even know. Okay. I pulled out some of my honorable mentions from other users, and I'm just gonna list a couple that were neat. So, No Idea e-mtb, they said that they've been running one-up clips with Shimano's new cleat that they basically said that it's the first SPD that doesn't feel like you're ice skating when you're clipped in, which I thought was neat because I was always a Crank Brothers mallet user because of that. I liked the more certain kind of feel, where Shimano's have like heavy bumpers, I don't know, whatever. But I thought it was neat for people that maybe have dealt with the same thing. Okay, next one down. I don't really know how to say this name. It's
Just say it.
It's Coco Coro Coco Co. Maybe
Pretty
that's
good.
right. Maybe it's wrong.
Nice.
Yeah, there we go. They had a one-up dropper that they replaced after 7 years, and only because they wanted a longer drop. And I got to give a shout out to one-up droppers because I've had really good luck with them. So that's what I would recommend if I was going to go buy a dropper. Unit chainrings or Unite chainrings. I've never actually heard of them, but they were saying that they last way longer than any other non-steel chainring they've used. So I thought that was pretty cool. And they just had the change in Q1 and Q2 at World Cup Racing, which is another thing that I would agree was such a positive this year. Balls with a Z. I'm going to go ahead and say this might be one of the more pick-me component lists for a bike, but I'm not trying to throw too much hate. But it was a Bronson V5 with a Cascade link, an Intend Essential, is that brake or forked? I don't know Intend's product line. I don't have the money for it.
Fork. It's a fork and a shock, yeah.
That's what I
push shock, Hope brakes, Onyx Vespers, which I don't even know what those are. I'm so out of the loop.
Quiet.
Is that hubs? See? Everyone's gonna be like, you're supposed to know all this stuff. I'm like, dude, I run the most basic shit on my own bike because I want stuff that's cheap. But I really admire people though that are like, yo, I'm gonna try this thing. I'm gonna go down the rabbit hole and like build up my bike to be super unique, because I think that's the most important. If you're hyped on your bike, that's the best shit. So,
and he has an STFU on there, which is also cool. Like, that bike probably doesn't make any noise at all.
Probably doesn't. All he needs is an O chain because it's a Bronson, and then he'll be really stoked. The
Intend Essential is a fork, by the way.
Thank you. Is that what you were typing up? What is outlier pendulums?
Are those?
I'm going to lose all my tabs here.
Those pedals with the they're kind of like the low drop with the big circle. Yeah,
I had to look those up already. See, that's why I had this in there, because somebody should try these.
It seems like everyone that uses them loves them.
Yeah, but part of me is like the classic, you spend money on something that's like different and crazy. Are you really going to say you don't like it, you know? But that's just me hating. Rode with Kyle on Saturday with Luca. Kyle Straight, not to name drop like super hard, but
yeah, right.
Yeah, I know. But if I don't say it, people are gonna be like, yeah, some dude named Kyle who had really heavy opinions on flat pedals.
Oh, Kyle.
Yeah. So he looks at my plastic Death Trap DD pedals and he's like, you like those? I'm like, yeah, they're on my bike. Like, what do you?
That's a loaded question if I ever heard one.
Yeah, and I look at his
Kyle
bike.
tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look at his bike and he has Sensus pedals on it, and I'm like, do you like your pedals? He's like, they're the
Do you like your
best.
shins?
And then it was just this whole rabbit hole of like, he's thought of every flat pedal idea, and everyone's doing it wrong. And he had valid points, but I was like, hey, these work fine. You know, he had more strong opinions about how flat pedal shoes aren't really made for flat pedals as well as they could be, and that I can agree with. Like, you ever get a new pair of shoes and you go to step on a pair of flats and you can feel the pins that aren't engaging versus the ones that are like falling in cavities, and I'm like, is there not just a way to make sure that that doesn't happen? So anyways, everyone's copying 510 still from 20 years ago. Okay, Hogfly shouted out YT Mill in Bentonville. I just thought that was bittersweet, but cool to hear that while YT was there, they had quite a presence, and it sounds like they were doing a lot of good community stuff. So shout out to that crew that was working there. He also listed out Oaxaca down in Mexico, said it was as good as advertised, and that's been on my list of places to go travel.
Got a Transierra Norte Oaxaca shirt on right now.
Look at that. Did you read the list? Is that on,
No,
on purpose?
Total happenstance.
So is it as cool as everyone says it is?
Oh, I've never been.
Oh. I just bought the merch.
Oh, that's too good.
Oh,
It's actually a really, really nice T-shirt. I wanna find out where these are made.
That's amazing. Well, I've heard the food's really good, and I think what's the fiery alcohol that I think isn't that where that gets made? It's smoky. Mescal. I think that's a hot spot for it. I don't know. I'm not much of a drinker, but I think that's another
That and the
cool thing to do down there is tasting.
Dia de las Muertas, their Halloween festival that the race is always structured around, so people get to experience that, is really cool.
Is that race still happening?
I think so.
Yeah. I really want to do some of those. Those things seem incredible. Okay, Easy Rider with 5 R's said EXO transmission, which seems like it's not that big of a deal, but they were like, yo, I wasn't that into electronics. It came on my high tower and it's been really good. And I just thought that was valuable because I've had that experience some where people really love mechanical drivetrains, which is fine, but sometimes I feel like they're willing to die on that hill without knowing what electronic drivetrains actually are like. And transmission, as well as the new Di2 stuff, is pretty freaking durable. So maybe don't hate it till you try it mentality. Cruising down, Coda Hale said Freedom Coast levers, and I just put this one in there.
Right now.
What?
Yeah.
I've never even heard of that.
I think the first time I saw him was like Troy had him on his bike. And
people
called it out like, what are these? And everyone said Freedom Coast levers.
They're aftermarket levers. They are anodized a bunch of colors. So
it's like Danger
bat,
Boy 2025.
Right. That's funny. That's the first thing that came to my mind as well.
But this individual said that they've improved, I think they had them on Mavens. They've improved the lever feel. The hook of the lever fit is better, and then the extra stiffness of the lever makes the power more controllable. And I'm just going to shut my mouth until I try these, because otherwise I just want to hate on them really bad. Just buying levers just doesn't. This is not on my list. Like I need new brake pads.
Do they have the 2-finger hook on them, like the?
You can't feather the clutch with them. I don't. To each their own sort of thing. And I think there's probably a lot of truth into replacing your levers. So, but for people out there that are not satisfied with their brakes, there is another way to change the feel of them. Check out Freedom Coast. Okay, I'm getting towards the end of my list here because I didn't want to have too many to run through. Serby said Queenstown, the Sea to Sky corridor, traveling around in their van. I just thought that was wholesome and sick stuff. More people should do that. They also listed out the Vorsprung Telem rear shock. Another one where I'm like, this person was like, hey, I know it's a lot of money. I've really liked their products and they're not trying to like sell you some bullshit. Another good, valuable, like real world, just consumer review of something.
Yeah,
And they also
Robot's
said forbidden
been on one.
bikes. What's that?
Robot's been on one for a little while, and
Yeah,
Charlie review time. It's taken a while to get done, but I think he's really enjoyed it, and so should have a
sick.
feature on it at some
The
point.
2-year review.
He had one of the shocks on when I rode with him last week. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you
And
rode
his
with
bike,
the whole crew.
it's funny, he has a very dated 38 on the front, and I bounced around on his bike, and we were joking about it feeling like a reverse hardtail because the fork did not. It felt like a 2x4, and the shock is so active and supple. You bounce, and just the back end of the bike goes down.
God, just so much binding
and the fork is
stitching.
all ratchety and
Dude, he's bummed he had to give that podium back, I'm sure.
Did he have to give it back?
Well, I assume if it's not on there, I don't know, maybe he's testing something else.
I think it was a different bike.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know if he still has that transition from the Di2 stuff
I think
or
he
not.
does.
Yeah.
He does for sure.
It's funny how he has all the purple bikes. I love that. It's just so random. Yeah. We can't call out Team Robot because in our, his internet persona is he's such an expert on everything, but people really know Charlie. He runs a pretty loose program of a bike a lot of times, which I love. Last one I have here was Yaman had Ramadana V3, which is a bike I really want to ride. Mavens, which was a popular one across the board. A lot of people talking about Mavens. And off Vermont, never heard of it. Now it's on my list.
Sounds sick.
It does. First name. Cable actuated drivetrains. Said that lever actuation is better than pushing buttons, which to each their own. As long as you get a drivetrain that works, right? And it's quiet. I think honestly it needs to be quiet and then it needs to work.
Accidental shifts.
Yeah, that is true. I will say I'm one ride away from taking my axis dropper pod off my bike and just pressing the button on the post to go up and down because I bump that shit all the time and it's so touchy. It's really fast, which cool. You might drop her up super quick.
Worst thing to accidentally push.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And but then if I run it super inboard on my bars, I'm like, why do I even have this? Because now I have to change my hand position to press it, and I don't know. First world problems for sure. I'm going back to a straight post.
Everyone seems like they're down with the Raws. The people seem like Raw's a good following. I remember when Dennis from E13 came and we were at Bogus, he had one of those. It seems super sick. It's simple. It's seems like that framework's vibe almost. Yeah,
they're the Euro frameworks. Geo is super similar, and then the whole ethos of what they're going for. They're we made bikes that they're not the lightest, they're not the fanciest, but they work really well, and you probably don't have to work on it a ton, and we like it, and it rides well. But dude, talk about a cult following.
Yeah,
it's pretty sick. They've been on my list. I've actually tried to reach out to get a bike for my own as a test bike for the year, but they're just smaller, so I get it. I had overall things I wrote down from kind of skimming the thread a little bit was just that e-bikes are pretty hot for a lot of people's things they were stoked on this year. Mavens, as I mentioned, a lot of people getting downhill bikes, which I was stoked to see. A lot of people just doing upgrades, a lot less being I got a new Sentinel or something. A lot more people were oh, I've got these parts I was stoked to try, or I finally tried this thing out and didn't like it and went back to what I did like, or whatever it was. So, which is something we've been on to for probably 2 years now, where you don't need to get a new bike every year. Maybe try some upgrades. So hopefully some of these things we've mentioned are giving people ideas.
You think that's why people are getting downhill bikes too, is you're not churning through a trail bike or an enduro bike as often. And so I want a new bike this year, so I'll get a downhill bike.
Yeah.
Or maybe people don't have as deep a quiver. You don't have 3 trail all mountain enduro bikes. You have one good do it all bike and you buy a downhill bike for lift days.
Maybe the average age of a mountain biker, at least just thinking about US, is a little older, my age, where we grew up riding downhill and then we didn't have the time and thought it was ridiculous that we were still hiking up hills or shuttling. And then we either got an e-bike or a trail bike and we're this is so much better. And then have the means to go do a bike park trip once or twice a year now and realize that like downhill bikes are still the sickest. And yeah, I don't know. It is an interesting because free ride, freaking hot right now. Downhill bikes are hot. Single speed is cooler than ever. Like it is an interesting flow we've gone through with all of that. And maybe the same way that a dirt jumper can just exist for quite a while when you own one. If you get a downhill bike, you don't have gears on it. It's alloy and you maybe don't give a shit about it as much. It can last a lot of seasons,
Mhm.
you know? I think that might be a part of it too. You drop $2,000 on a free ride-ish downhill bike and you're good to go. Yeah.
Makes sense.
I know. All right. That was my list of people shout outs. You've got, look, we've got some double ups, I think, Lars. You
Yeah,
wanna
we
run through
do.
some of yours?
Yeah, you want me to jump in there?
Go for it.
Yeah, Ervan for sure. A lot of the similar things there. Downhill bikes, Maven calipers, Shimano TRP levers. I'm interested with the TRP levers just because of the lighter throw and how bad of a breaker I am.
Yep.
And
You're
the
a bad
magnetic
breaker.
pedals. Magnetic pedals, what's up with that?
Yeah.
I have no
Tell me
idea what
more.
that would feel like. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. So yeah, Ervan, if you want to give us a more detailed rundown on that, let's hear it. Rocky's Alpine, working with and trusting a knowledgeable suspension tuner. The difference is worth it. And definitely I agree. I'm partial to this because that's kind of what I'm doing these days. Not the internals, just the external adjustments. I think it's a very wise investment. D-Servi as well. Trans BC Enduro and just multi-day stage racing. I think now that we're seeing a bit of a decline of like high level enduro racing, the decline of enduro, that the stage racing I think is people are interested in it not just for the racing but for the experience aspect, going
Yeah.
to ride a new area, and like you could do it in a less competitive way and go do it with a group of friends, gather some buddies to do it. That's cool.
Isn't it? I feel like it's kind of
Let
ironic that it's kind of where enduro started in a lot of ways, was that
for sure.
kind of camaraderie and riding a new
Yep.
place and all of that. And it's a bummer that we lost the higher end version of it, but for all of us normal riders, it's cool that, yeah, those experiences still exist out there. I would love to do some of those.
For sure. I mean, there's I've done a number of them and they're so fun. I mean, it really is one of those things that you just retain as a very fond memory for the rest of your life. Really cool. I think you learn a lot about yourself. I've been in some where like doing Trans-Provence, which was the pre-race of what is now Stone King. Some of my memories of being so absolutely shelled, and you're only halfway through the day, just, oh man. And which has created very, very good memories for sure. So big ups. And I feel like the pendulum, kind of like with the downhill bike thing, the pendulum is kind of swinging that direction where that was the initial like interest of enduro, was the aspect of spending all day on the bike, doing it with your friends, and then it swung too far and it got way too competitive, way too elite, and now it's kind of coming back a bit. Yeah. Let's see, Lead Pigpen, bike demos. I definitely agree. I mean, if you're entertaining investing, $4 to $5 to $10K on a bike, initially dropping a couple $100 to ride a couple of your options first is probably one of the wisest investments you could make. Suspension Lab New Z is a big shout out. Women's free ride. So sick to see the growth of that whole aspect of our sport. Big fan right here. Andrew Lee, chasing your friends down your local trails as fast as you can and sharing the stoke at the bottom. Continued progression into your 40s. Crashing but not getting hurt.
Impossible.
Tall bars, ripping a corner so good it makes you smile, building and riding your own frame. Um, this one really resonated with me because I can relate to almost all of it. It just like this that post just kind of like screamed genuine stoke to me. You know, like nothing in particular other than just like these little things that keep you going, you know, and keep you stoked. And um, I got to ride with some old friends with Charlie, Bob, Stenson, an old friend Zeb Tingy from Seattle, who I haven't ridden with in like 15 years, and
Wow.
Casper Dean. Um, we met in Seattle post Christmas, and like Charlie drove up from Portland. Um, and I gotta give a shout out to Luke and Bryn, who were also supposed to be on the ride. Luke got sick, and then Bryn called out the location and then bailed at the last second. Sorry to call you out, Bryn, but he did it. Um, but we had a blast. Good ride. Bobby exploded his wheel at the very end of the last run, which was like perfectly timed, perfect Bob fashion. And then we all went and had a burger, and just chatted for an hour and a half. And I'm to echo Andrew's stoke here, just like biking is so rad in that way that you cannot see people for so long and then come back together and ride. And some of the stories that were being recounted around, our meal table was it's just all time so good. Um,
That would have been amazing if there was a way to film that, capture that experience without you guys knowing, but so we could sit here and watch it now. I bet it'd be so fun to watch. See you
oh
guys
yeah,
shred and get sketchy and then tell your stories.
yeah, so good. And Charlie, typical Charlie, we're sitting around the table and he comes up with like a talking exercise. He's like, everybody talk about the worst bike you've ever owned. So every full round table, we all got to talk about it. Um, yeah,
What
just
were the
Yeah.
bikes?
Yeah. What were they?
let's see. Let me think about this. Um, Zeb's was, I can't remember the brand, but I think it was a carbon hardtail that he rode, and he said it was like the stiffest, most uncomfortable bike you could possibly ride just because it did not have any compliance. Like a massively overbuilt hardtail. Um, Charlie, geez, what bike? Oh, I think Charlie's was, I hate I hate to call out, but I think maybe it was, I remember he was talking about a Diamondback. But I think that was mostly related to the failures, and not just like the frame shearing in half, but all the little things that would go wrong with it. Um, Bob's, I can't remember. Casper wasn't there because Casper just had a kid, 23 months old, so he had to leave early. Um, and then as he should. Um, and I had a hard time calling it out. Like one of my earliest proper trail bike was a K2 Tirade, and that bike was kind of terrible, but it was also awesome. It was a four adjustable just by moving the upper shock along the rocker. So it had three positions for the upper shock bolt, which made for 4-inch, 5-inch, and 6-inch rear travel.
Sick.
And for 2003, that was a pretty sick bike. I mean, it was clapped to all get out, but I mean, it was a really sick bike for ahead of its time,
Mhm.
let's say. Um, and I had to call out the transition blind side, even though that bike wasn't terrible, but I was heavy in downhill racing at the time. I had just come off an Iron Horse Sunday in 2008, having done like World Cups, World Champs on that bike, and then going to the blind side. The only reason the blind side is the worst bike is because I was coming from perhaps one of the best downhill bikes ever made. Um, which if somebody were to be inclined to basically recreate the Iron Horse Sundae with modern geometry, I think that would still be up there with the best.
That's a good idea.
Is that not just
No,
an
I would-
Atherton?
I mean that's
It's similar-ish, I think.
That's
They're-
what Zeb said, because
Yeah.
he does have an Atherton. It is very similar, but there's something about the Sunday, unified rear triangle. I don't know.
Yeah.
I almost think
There's
somebody
a couple resto mods in the like bike of the day section.
I've seen
Some
them.
dude put a 27.5 one together, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, like that
Yep.
stuff's so cool.
That's what I was
Super
gonna say
sick.
is if somebody just started making the frames again, literally like maybe just keep it
totally.
the same geo or maybe tweak it a little bit to make it 27.5 so it's easier to get
Yep.
wheels and tires and maybe do the spacing
Yeah.
more updated. So
And the
wheels are the
sizing.
easiest thing. But even I think it would just be sick to have it be small because like
Well, yeah,
part of
true.
the like nostalgia of it all is just that it's old. But like
Yeah.
having it be new and tight and not like because I feel like if you try to get a Sunday and do a restoration build, you're going to be compromising heavy in certain areas, or
Yep.
like little details that you take for granted now maybe aren't there. Dude, funny enough, Cody Johnson yesterday was riding a Sunday on the rut track and his was
No.
like, I know.
Really?
It was, yeah. And I kind of spaced on like asking him to do a lap on it, but him riding that with 26-inch wheels versus all of us on, I think our bikes are all mixed or 29, like
Wait, he
looked
was
like
on a
so much
slalom
more
bike.
fun. Yeah, it literally was a slalom bike, and like his like
8-inch travel
forehead was
slalom
like
bike.
over his front tire, but it looked like so much more fun. And I was like, I could go to a bike park, and what I would get out of my laps on an old bike like that, I can't get with like a new bike that's super capable. Like you don't always need the most capable. So yeah, if somebody could but like weld up like a freshie where like the bearings are new, like tolerances are all good, that would be pretty sick.
Frameworks, come on, do it.
Yeah, right?
totally.
Like do you have to worry about getting sued? There's like trademark stuff. I don't even know.
Well,
It's
that
DW
that
link,
did,
but
it
Yeah.
is, yeah, for sure. That did spur. It's funny. A discussion on our ride was about that too, about like just how small bikes were back then. Like reaches were in the upper 300 millimeter range for mediums and larges, which is insane. And
It is insane.
and I just it's crazy.
It's
to
hard to
think
picture
that. Yeah, totally. But I a couple weeks prior, I had been watching Earthed on YouTube one
Sick.
night, and I posted a couple of videos of it, and my wife walked in and she like sat down for a sec and she's like, "Are those downhill bikes?" And I was like, "Yeah, but this is like 15 years ago." And she's like, "Oh yeah," but people were ripping so hard, and every rider know how big you were. Your butt is farther back than the backside of your rear wheel in corners,
Yeah.
and that's just what we had to work with.
yeah, like a guy like Rennie's like this. And it's
Oh,
like
yeah,
he's that big on the
totally.
bike,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, good
Yeah.
stuff.
I wonder if that'd catch on. Like if you could make enough, like, like surfers all do retro weird stuff, and it's way cheaper to make a surfboard, but like, could you have a market for weird retro downhill bikes that are new?
The Sunday in particular, 100%.
Yeah. Or like, dude, like the Palmer FSR, like
That too.
Yep.
Yes.
just like
Which
the look of it alone,
That was my first proper downhill bike. I bought must have been like off Pink Bike or something back in the day. But I remember I think that bike had a 6-inch travel boxer.
Mm-hmm. It was
And,
like
like, we went
6.3 in the back, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
But it that was like one of the first moments that I had where like I went with the GHY crew, which was my first sponsor at the time, and which led into
Do you know what that
speed
means,
metal.
Jason? Go huck
Yeah.
yourself.
go hug. Oh, I was like,
Yeah. So quick
I heard Lars
diatribe
say that
here.
enough.
Yeah. So GHY was a t-shirt company back in the day, started by AJ Johnson and Matt. Oh, can't remember his last name now. But anyway, they were deep in the Seattle scene at this time. And that kind of led into a local Seattle area team. I think there must have been like 12 of us, called Speed Metal Downhill. And
So
it
dope.
was like hardcore downhill Seattle scene back when like Exit 38 and, Snoqualmie era. And Downhill Zone was like the sickest bike shop. Um, Shout out Darren Brown. Um, and yeah, Spokane had a downhill race, the old WIM series, but I remember going to Spokane with AJ and Matt on that bike, and I was like, oh, this is so sick. This is this is it. And that's when I quit Mercedes, right around that, or within a year, I think, is when I quit working at Mercedes and moved into my buddy's closet.
No way.
That's
Oh
dope.
Oh,
man,
yeah.
we got an inside line. I want to hear all this stuff, all these
Oh, yeah.
stories.
No. Soon
Yeah.
enough.
You
2026 goals.
There are a couple clips on that old sponsor video I've put out. There's a couple clips of that bike in there for sure. Back to our list here, or my list. Traxes. Local events was one of his shout outs. And I think that the local events, like around here, we have a number of sick local events: Northwest Cups, Cascadia Dirt Cups, the One Up downhill race in Squamish. They've been holding every fall, stuff like that. I think as EDR stuff falls off, I think that those events are only going to start. I mean, they're already flourishing, but I think more people are being more realistic about their racing journey, where like I'm totally content just racing my local race series, which I think is super sick. And that's just going to continue to build community. And not just the racing, but a lot of local events, like little pop-up things, like little rut track races. There's a number of things like that around here, and I'm sure there are everywhere, just like your little rut track shred day. They're basically doing that, but adding a little bit of timing aspect into it. That's, not nobody cares about it, but it creates an excuse to go do the thing, which is cool. Scott Tucker and I have done some underground e-bike events where there is a timing aspect, but really that's just the catch to get people there. Those have been super fun. Dan NS83 and Falcon called out positive life changes to reduce stress. I think Dan Ennis had a career change, which going from like super high stress, high income level type of employment to making a conscious choice to change that for quality of life, which I can relate to. And Falcon, just positive mental attitude. He was they were talking about how making a conscious effort to find the good in things versus the negative in things. And I can relate to all that. So I kind of had to give it a shout out. Ryan Bourdreau, he talked about Tom, his local person who goes out and clears the trails when trees fall. And I want to use that as an opportunity to shout out to all the trail builders out there, all over the place. There's a lot of trail building happening right now, legal and not legal. And so many people with blood, sweat, and tears into building the trails that we all get to enjoy. So massive shout there. And then just a quick one through some general themes, I think, that resonated with me. A lot of acknowledgement for the mountain bike community in general, and how rad people are in our community. Super cool. A good amount of Vital Pod shout outs. What up? It's been
us.
super fun for me to get involved with you guys and the Vital team. And awesome to, I was really unsure what this was going to turn into, or if anybody was even going to listen or give a rat's behind about it. And I've had a lot of messages and people just randomly tell me they listen to it and like it, and that's been so awesome. It's like, what? Oh wow, you actually, that's cool.
We're stoked to have you
Yeah.
on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's freaking sick.
Thanks. Yeah, lots of Maven talk, lots of High Roller 3 shouts, lots of Schwalbe radial shouts. And
Go, you two, battle it out.
well, okay, so I
They
do
may
Not
or
right
may not
now.
like them. I don't know.
I do want to use this as an opportunity to just talk a little bit. We had our chat about bent tires a little while back,
Mm-hmm.
and
I got
perusing
an
some
email
of the
about that.
right, well, exactly. Well, some of the comments related to that pod, it's specific. The majority of the comments were all about tire related. And I think there were a few people insinuating that Vital was using Maxxis ad dollars as an excuse to talk about Maxxis tires. And
I
I
wish I
want,
got paid that way.
I know. Well, I want to use my position here as a 100% unaffiliated person, but also knowledgeable enough about the industry to dispel that rumor. That's not how it works at all. That's literally us as bike riders talking and bantering with one another. We've all and everybody has their opinions about product. You know, it's like pick your thing and be a jerk about it. You know, it's like there are a lot of great options for all types of product out there, and it's all good.
Yeah, for sure.
And O-Chains. Trip here in town, who's the SRAM field rep, messaged me the other day, said he had an extra one and wants me to try it. I'm stoked to mount that up to my pedal bike and see what that's all about. I've heard a lot of the hype and have speculated what it would feel like to have one of those on my bike, so I'm really stoked to check that out.
I think
What'll
you'll
it
like
go
it.
on?
I'll put it on my Sentinel for sure. So I would start on the pedal bike first.
Do you need them on an e-bike since it's on its own? Like,
It does have a spread, like an e-bike has a bit of a sprag clutch mechanism in there, because it does have basically a free hub body in the chainring interface to the crank arm, but I don't think there's as much float as there would be on an O-chain. Yeah.
Well, to piggyback on that, I'm going to jump into things I was stoked on in 25, my little personal list. And on that list is putting an O-chain on my Stumpy. So I'm curious to hear what you think once you've ridden it. I mean, I'm sure you've heard what people say. Biggest things is it just kind of calmed my bike down overall, especially riding with flats. One nice thing too is I'm assuming you probably got the one, I think the current gen is always like this, where you can adjust how much float it has and you can turn it to having no float. And I just did some runs back to back with all or nothing, and it was pretty clear that it was doing something. And I like it. I think I'm liking it more than the hub kickback devices that are out there, just because it's easier to put on a bike. Like, it's expensive, but you're not having to buy a new wheel, and you can break a chain ring or bend one. It doesn't happen nearly as often as it used to, but you can definitely break a rear wheel, and then you're losing that kick device as well, which is kind of a downside to me, where the O-chain as well, I can, if you have the same cranks on multiple bikes, you also can float it between bikes if you needed to.
Right.
I will say mine's getting a little like creaky, and I know that I've heard people have issues with just keeping them going. I haven't actually pulled mine apart yet, but it's getting to be that time.
Well, the maintenance interval is pretty short, right? The
Yeah,
recommended maintenance
yeah,
interval.
I haven't, like, literally one showed up and I was like, I'm just gonna throw this on and ride it for like quite a while until it's like making enough noise or feeling bad enough that I have to deal with it, and then I'll dive into what's actually going on inside, sort of thing. But yeah, and it looks cool. I think that matters. It's silver, so it matches the silver things on my bike. All right, I have riding a heavy bike. My Stumpy was really heavy this year, as people may know from the video I made. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I rode with Nico, who works at Specialized, when I was in Santa Cruz on my drive home from Reno. And he's like, "Oh, how's your stumpy been?" I'm like, "Oh, dude, it's still good. Like, I really been enjoying it." Yada yada. And he's like, "Dude, I get so much heat for like how heavy that bike is because of your video all the time." I was just like,
How heavy is it?
I just put Mavens on it and some newer wheels that are like just over 2,000 grams and downhill casing tires, and it's just over 39 pounds, which is pretty heavy for a 150, 160 bike. Um, I feel it climbing after, because I had some enduro tires and some light DT wheels on it before. It was probably like 37, and that 2 pounds is definitely noticeable. But I was just like, I'm like, dude, you guys made it. Like I didn't actively make it heavy, you know, this is your freaking bike. Sounds like you
Well,
need to
you
make it
you
lighter.
added weight in the most noticeable area too.
Oh yeah, for sure
Tires
this
and
go
wheels.
around.
Yeah.
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 But the bike itself is heavy. I mean, it's an alloy stump jumper, so make that part clear. But yeah, but riding a heavy bike I have enjoyed because it's made my daily bike a lot more capable feeling and safer. Like I can take it, you know, if my world of trails I ride will tend to be more steeper downhill focused than they are meandering trail. And so it's catered more to that, which is nice, but I can still go pedal it. And it's not the worst thing. I just go a little slower. Um, Getting to spend a month in Whistler this past summer was awesome. It's like the most time I've ever spent there and gotten to ride a lot more of the pedal trails and made me realize like potential to be productive for things we do in settings like that. So that was really cool. I got to spend a week in Finale more on vacation that was pretty epic. Had never been there before. Same thing. You always hear about places like that, and it lived up to the hype. It was a really good time. My road bike and my dirt jumper, two things I rode a heck of a lot more in 25, and the mix and variety is keeping me stoked on bikes. Mechanical transmission, it's what I'd buy if I was going out and buying a drivetrain right now. It just works really well. It's maybe a little heavy and the shifter's maybe not the crispest feeling, but it's quiet and that's priority for me, if I'm being honest. I don't shift that much, so like it's whatever. I will say it stayed super consistent. I have not touched a single thing on it after like probably like 500 miles, maybe. I don't know, a decent amount. It had Whistler on it during Crankworks, like some bike park stuff. So, um, current suspension products. We've talked about suspension stuff on the talking about products on our 2 podcasts ago, I think. But I think everything's really good right now. If I reflect on things I've written in the past, uh, especially stuff from Fox and RockShox, I've been pretty stoked on everything I've touched. So, and we're in a new year, which means probably new stuff coming. So it's probably going to get better.
Probably.
Um, my Garmin watch, that's been something that I feel like has influenced not just riding, but just general life health. I got it January of last year. So having a year of data to your life is nice.
What
Sleep.
model Garmin watch? I saw somebody ask about that in one
And
of
I didn't
the
respond.
last pod comments.
I have a Phoenix 6, but you don't need this fancy of a watch to get all of the Garmin features. You just would have to use their app more to see the features. I know that the Instinct, I think it's the Instinct 3, is really popular with people that mountain bike. It's a bit more of the
Mhm.
rubbery, industrial
Super
looking one.
durable.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. This one's been fine
They
as
make them in
well.
a bigger face version and a smaller face
Yep.
version as well, which is kind of cool.
And I would honestly go as small as you can to not have it look awkward on your wrist if you're riding with it, because it could take a minute to get used to it like flopping around, depending on like how bony your wrists are. But you get sleep tracking, which I think is pretty massive if you care about your energy day to day. Not even like if you're an athlete, but I mean, if you have a family and kids and you want to be like present or something, you know, like the knowing if you get good sleep, how to then factor that into how much activity you should do for the day. Or even for me, it's like, oh, like I feel like I should go ride today. And it's like, I'm like pretty hammered from like 5 days of riding in a row. Like I probably should stretch and like go for a walk and like be content with that or something. And I think it has some mental health benefits is maybe what I'm trying to get at. And yeah, they're sweet. TRP Evo brakes. Those were ones I rode on the frameworks this summer in Whistler, and I'm like, dude, these brakes are unreal. Like the lever feel is probably better than Maven's to me. Like the modulation's better, but the power is right up there. I was super into them, and then I asked TRP for a set, and they were kind enough to send a set for my Stumpy. And then right around that time, I had to put some SRAM brakes on my bike for unknown reason that are on my bike now. And so the TRPs are still in the box. So I'm sorry, TRP, they're not on my bike just yet, but I would highly recommend looking into those if you want powerful brakes that really let you feed in that power nice. And the lever's light and the hook of the lever feels good. And they're also a smaller lever, which I think looks pretty nice. So,
Hmm.
I mean, most people are pretty on to TRPs that are good right now. So, last thing, wheels don't really break as much as they used to. Like I just didn't have a whole lot of wheel issues this year. So the wheels I rode this year were FSA gradients. I want to say it was the DT Swiss EXC 1200. It's definitely like their higher end carbon enduro rim. E13 Sylvan, kind of trail enduro-y rim. And then those Tenet Coven wheels that have been on Lauren's bike, but I've ridden them some as well. And all of those wheels, they felt a little bit on the stiffer side, which I think is good if you're riding more aggressive trail enduro. And those are, except for the Tenets, those are all carbon wheels and like have held up fine with enduro downhill casing tires. So yeah, shout out the wheels that don't break because it is such a bitch dealing with that. Okay, I'm just gonna rip through really quickly my like things for this year I'm kind of hyped on. Continuing to ride a bunch. I rode a lot more this year than I have in any year prior. 25 I did, so 26 I kind of want to keep that up. Just riding more consistently. I'm going to New Zealand in a couple weeks for the first time ever, and that's somewhere I've wanted to go for a really long time. So very thankful that I'm getting the chance to do that and stoked to ride in Queenstown and everything. Specialized demo. I know it's coming this year. It has to be coming this year. We saw the carbon one last season. Like there's no way it's not coming this year. And after getting to ride the prototype in Whistler this summer, I'm really excited to hopefully get to ride that bike as well. DH Racing, new stops, juniors going up to elites, team changes, like just everything with downhill racing is so hot and good right now. So I'm already getting excited for it. I really want to race Mega Avalanche one of these years. I don't know if this is the year. I don't know if it'll fit into everything else and getting enough time off to do it, but I really want to do that race. Like, I think it was probably in the Earth videos, maybe that they used to have segments, I think, right, of like that race. And so it's like burned into
Hmm.
my mind as like a kid. And then during COVID, especially, I watched so many GoPro runs of the track that I literally know most of the course at this point. And then Luca did it the last 2 years. So chatting with him about it, just, I'm like, God, I need to just do it. You know, like I can't be the old man being like, I should have done Mega Avalanche. So
Start practicing your snow riding right
dude,
now,
yeah. Well, I'm just gonna
like
watch the weather
glacial
and do a
start.
year where they actually have a big glacier, because that seems like the gnarly part is when the snow is
Oh yeah.
not consistent. Then it's like everything goes out the window. So okay, last thing I have is maybe getting an e-bike. I've shown up to too many group rides recently that I didn't know people were going to be on e-bikes, and then I'm just riding alone or riding it like the rev limiter to try to keep up, and it's finally here where there's no escaping it. Your
Do
analog
it.
bike is on its way
Future we
out.
can't
Yeah.
avoid. Is that what you said?
Yep. The future we can't avoid. It's true. And I think I'm going to send an email to Specialized today and ask for a Levo SL because my current Stumpy weighs as much as one. So I might as well have a motor on it. Yeah.
And you like the lightweight, huh?
Yeah. It's, oh God, I'm going to get torn apart
I
again in the comments about this
we
shit.
don't
But
have to
like
talk about it.
for, after chatting with Troyden on our last phone call and thinking more about e-bikes and where they're going, I think what I like about SL bikes currently is where we will all end up in 10 years with full size, where we're not doing the compromise of weight to power or range. You get all those things. And currently for me, I don't want to give up the feel, or maybe not give up the feel. I want a specific feel for my bike that I'm going to ride day in and day out. If I had a full-size e-bike and a regular bike, that could be cool. But I personally, I don't like having that many things. Like it's just not really, it doesn't line up with me. Like I don't want a bunch of shit. Like I'd rather be able to have one bike I can do a lot of things on, and that's my option's the SL version bikes right now, because the responsiveness is more similar to what I'm after, and then
Hmm.
having a little bit of range is cool. And but yeah, I mean, I will say when I rode on Saturday, that's what Luca and Bubs were on. They were both on SL bikes and SL Canyon and RE. And they said those are like pretty much the only bikes they ride for kind of the same reason. Like they want to be able to go out and do a couple extra laps, but when they're going down, they want to be able to ride a similar way and influence the bike a similar way. Kyle's maybe a little bit of an
Hmm.
exception because he's just a bigger dude, so it probably fits him better in that regard. But I mean, I've had the chance to ride full-size bikes, e-bikes, and they just ride a different way. And in a lot of ways, it's cool. Like I like that, but I'm also not seeking that all the time. So
I think that's
there's my
the interesting
soapbox.
thing about one of the interesting things about the SL type bikes is that if you treat it like a regular bike and even go as far as riding it in the most eco mode, the
Yeah.
lightest assistance mode, you can get very good range out of it, and the effect you get from it is just as if you were in way better shape. It's
Yeah.
not like you're on an e-bike, you're just like it's a little easier to get up the hill, you know. It's like you've been training for 6 months or something.
Totally. And I think
Yeah.
too, thinking about the groups of friends I ride with, it's pretty mixed, where Saturday when I showed up and Luke and Kyle pull SLE bikes out of their cars and I'm like, sick. Glad I knew this was like the vibe versus, yesterday we're all on analog bikes. And being able to have, for me right now, currently having a bike that can kind of fit both those molds would be really sweet. Um, where, having a full size one, sure, I would love that. I think I'd rather have a motorcycle first, honestly. So
It starts to
that's,
get there, doesn't it?
yeah, I think that's more my vibe. My dad's laughing at me. Um, or I want a Stark. That should be what it really is. Yeah, an electric dirt bike. All right, Lars, I'll
They
give you
just
the floor.
got the Surons just got classified as off-road vehicles in California, if I'm
Really
not mistaken. So if you have a Suron, if you're riding it on the street, it has to be plated.
interesting.
But there's at
Yeah.
least like now there's a way to do it properly.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I wonder. I mean, my mind immediately goes to just mostly kids that are on those and kind of like not following the law, which I can't dog on too hard because if I had to surround when I was a kid, I would have been a
Oh man,
nuisance for
Oh.
all
sure.
day.
But
Yeah.
like, are we just leaving it up to cops to know what a Suron is and not like a Super 73, wherever the heck they are, or I don't know.
I think they're getting hip to it.
Yeah. I'm sure in
Yeah.
areas where, I mean,
The right
I'm
zones.
up in
Yeah.
Encinitas right
Yeah.
now, and like I haven't seen a regular bicycle in years. Everything is electrified. So, um, which honestly bums me out that like in all the dirt fields around here, there aren't more pit bike tracks. I'm like, where are these kids that have these Surons? Why are you not taking advantage of them more? Nobody wants to pick up a shovel, man. Yeah. All right, Lars, you want to run through some things you were hyped on 25 and things for next year? This
Yeah,
year?
yeah, for sure. I'll lump some of these together because they're all kind of related. Riding in general, riding a lot more these days than I have been the last few years and can't get enough, which also includes getting a ride with new people, kind of like I was talking about earlier, new people and old friends. Just the whole aspect and community aspect and friend aspect of riding, I really am finding I enjoy now that I'm not as like not doing it for the competitive aspects. World Cup downhill racing this year was intense. Listening to a podcast recently with Luca on Needle's podcast, just talking about the insane level of the competition. Where a couple years ago, if you were a couple seconds off fastest time of the day, you might have been on the podium. Where a couple seconds off the fastest time, and you're not even making it out of Q1 now, which is just insane. Road riding, getting back on the road bike while recovering from Achilles surgery was awesome. Haven't done that in years, so that's been fun. I don't have those race bars like you do, Jason. You're gonna have to pop. You're gonna have to pop
Yeah,
that photo in somewhere, Spomer,
that's a few
Okay.
where
free
Jason's
watts right
talking about
there.
his road bike.
That'll be the thumbnail.
Yeah.
It was
Um,
0.5. The 0.5 did me dirty.
Accomplishing some big home renovation projects. We remodeled our kitchen this summer, among some other little upgrades to the house. I've done a lot of carpentry, construction, tile in the past, and just kind of getting the chops back up to speed again, doing some of that. Also, big shout out to Harv Dog, who pretty much did our kitchen for us. I was scheduled. I had been planning to do it myself with his help, but we were riding together on a Wednesday, planning to start our kitchen remodel that weekend. And that Wednesday ride, I ruptured my Achilles.
Oh man.
And it was like we had our entire back patio staged with all of the appliances, everything. Our house was like overflowing with stuff for the remodel. So it's not like we could kick the can down the road. So he drove me home that day in my truck, and he and my wife and I had a powwow, and he's like, I'll just do it for you. So
Crazy.
I helped the first couple days, and then I went into surgery in the middle of that week, and then just laid on the couch and pointed my crutches like, no, do this, do that. So, um, so yeah, anyway, that's something I actually find a lot of enjoyment in. So
Telling people what
that's
to
been
do.
good. Yeah,
Pointing crutches.
Yeah, just um, let's see here. Yeah, starting to do some tile work again, getting the chops up. I When starting Flowcraft, I also kind of started another business, which is Tilecraft. So I could do both while I was getting the businesses off the ground. And I did 2 tile jobs. The second of which I got done, and I had the itis in my elbow. I'm sure it's like tendonitis or something, tennis elbow. Um, and so that started to take effect. And I was like, I can't do any more tile. I've got to focus 100% on getting Flowcraft off the ground and dedicate everything towards that. So while it was a bummer to get, which I still have the tendonitis, but I'm dealing with it. It did push me towards devoting all my efforts to Flowcraft, which is sick. Um, Meeting a lot of new people through Flowcraft, which has been awesome. Um, and Yeah, this all kind of blends together, and I will put a caveat in here as I work into my year ahead. A lot of this is going to be talking about my business, Flowcraft, because that's like where all of my energy is going towards. There's so many aspects about it that have been cool now that I've got it going. Um, so awesome to have all of the support from my community and encouragement. It's been super sweet. I mean, it is a massive new world and undertaking, all the aspects of starting a business in general, but also starting a business about something you're so passionate about, and being living in a time and place in our society where you can do that. Like I have this thing that I think can be a viable business, and to like dive in and go for it. I think you kind of have to be off your rocker a little bit to just go all in. But it's been such a fun journey, and it's been really neat to interact with some friends of mine who have skills that I don't, that have helped me get it off the ground. Like Darren Seeds on his own personal time, we traded his tile job ruined my elbow, but we traded. I did some tile trade for him, and he did like all the graphic and branding for Flowcraft. And I definitely did not have the funds to pay him to do that, so that's awesome. And another big shout out to Jeff Brines, going out of his way to offer to help me get the website built, was rad, and did it in such a way that he could get me, he could basically get it started, show me how it operates, and then hand the reins off to me. So now I'm in full control and continuing to build it out. That aspect of it has just been awesome. Um, yeah, I've already talked about the Maxis advert thing and the comments about that, and just the like, I'm looking forward to having the opportunity via like the pod and other ways to interact with the Vital community and create a bit more transparency between industry and the public. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about how things work, and I think there is an aspect of the industry's out to get me, and everybody's in it for the money, when really most of the industry, the majority of the industry, are just people. They just happen, their field of expertise just happens to be in the mountain bike industry, but we're all people that just love bikes. And I think talking about that more is a great thing. Getting out and getting immersed in the community and being partnered with, I'm going to announce this publicly in collaboration with them, but becoming official bike setup partner for events like Stone King, Cascadia Dirt Cup, Trans Cascadia Excursions, Northwest Cups. Those are all awesome events, but it's kind of allowed me the ability to get immersed back into the community that I love so much, which I kind of fell out of because it was like my job, and just the natural progression of being at that job for 15 years, things ebb and flow. And looking forward to a lot more quality family time and healthier personal and family life balance. Another massive silver lining of making the life changes that I have is the side benefit of growing into, like, not just me, but our whole family environment growing into a lot better balance of living with one another, which has been awesome. And also adopting a trail on Galbraith through Flowcraft, which probably sounds like it's not like I'm building the trail, but Galbraith, which is our local riding area, I think there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 55 trails that are sponsored by local businesses. And you can either buy in and get your name on the plaque, or you can buy in at a much lower level, but then you're responsible for maintaining the trail, which is the option I've chosen to do. So it's kind of forcing me to be responsible for making sure the trail that we're partnered with stays maintained and runs well.
Do you know what trail yet?
I do.
Can you not say?
I don't know if I should say,
Okay.
but it's a new one on Galbraith. It is open. It's fully in the network. Built by Ben Cruz, and he's the one that actually initiated it. He's like, "Hey, you want to sponsor a trail?" And I was like, "Please be the one I'm thinking of." So yeah, that's really cool. And also I'm definitely getting a hankering for riding a downhill bike again. And Spomer and I will be talking about this, but it looks like I'll be going down to Southern California in February to work with MT and Wentz, to get them geared up to race Masters World Champs down in Chile in April. So I'm really pumped on that. Worked with my wife. She went and readjusted her work schedule for that week. It's looking very much like I'm gonna drive down, which is totally unreasonable. But it's been so long since I've done like a biking road trip all on my own. Like, I'm actually really looking forward to doing the whole thing and making a stop in Ashland to ride with Nathan Riddle and Dylan and some friends there. and then hopefully hit Santa Cruz on the way back. And it's going to push it to the very, I'm going to use every minute of that week, but I think, I don't know, my heart's telling me that's what I need to do. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's
Yeah.
always a good time.
Yeah.
Weird.
That's it for me.
I dig it. It's a good mix. Good positivity. I love it.
Yeah.
Omar, I don't even know if
Feels
you
good
put
to
anything
feel good.
together for this.
I didn't put anything on the sheet, and I don't have a ton of stuff, but like looking, basically reflecting on last year and looking forward again to this year is just, broken record, but the depth and the positivity of the forum, like the Vital community, it's like, it's so sick to have such a knowledgeable, passionate group of people that are interacting all the time to just kind of blow the site up. Like it's, who we locked out the original tech rumors and we're still here. It's going on. We listen to them. We're doing the yearly thing, but just the different level of experiences, the locations, the history with products and the industry. Like there's so many people that know so many different things, and it's all discussed and kind of shared in such a diplomatic but fun way that it's, I'm just looking forward to it, growing as it has. I feel like it's been a long journey to get there, but we're in a really good place right now. And I feel like it's one of the most valuable things we have with what we do. And it's just all the people out there that, that are participating. And I hope it continues to grow and everyone stays civil and can continue to learn, because, the whole reason that the recommendations thing was brought up, it's like, yeah, Pink Bike editors had their things, but just the volume of input you can have from the community, it seems so much more valuable than what you think or I think. Like we get to touch such a small amount of things that you can have this really, I don't know, diverse experience and kind of wealth of knowledge that's all built up. So I'm psyched for that. Can we just say how dope Dennis Anderson is?
Oh, God.
Like, dude, like 2025,
Yeah.
like all his stuff. And then his one last bit, the BMX MTV video. And then I'm stoked to see what he does, because it's just like bro cam. He's just out doing it. The way he puts it out, it's like if he wasn't filming, he'd probably be doing this stuff anyway.
Exactly.
So I just love that whole vibe. And it seems like the UK crew, or like you guys digging a rut track, like that whole vibe of kind of lo-fi, not produced experience content that would happen whether or not a camera is there. I think that stuff that it gets me the most excited, I think. So hopefully there's more of that coming this year. And yeah, I don't know. And then racing too. I'm really stoked to see, like, it's kind of a combination of stoke and curiosity of how the sort of like the whittling down of World Cup roster flows into regional and national racing. It should be a positive thing. I hope it is, but I'm kind of curious to see how that shakes out. So yeah, just looking forward to all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's got to be, probably that's something that I should have mentioned too with racing is like, yeah, just our domestic stuff in the US has been ramping up the last 2 years. So just another year of all of that is going to be really exciting to see. And
Yeah,
there's been a lot of talk at the World Cup level of less teams, more expensive to run teams, amount of riders dwindling and all of that. I am curious where people that end up not racing World Cups go, but I'm also curious how the dynamic at World Cups evolves, because we've been talking about it for a couple of years now, as once Warner Bros. Took over and then the format changed and the amount of racers and finals changed, and like enough time's gone on where people are pretty okay with a lot of those changes. It'll be interesting to see if this year feels different, and then if the next year feels any different. Because to me, it's like kind of turns out if you just do less people in finals, it makes it a lot harder to be in finals, and then it's really competitive. Like I don't know, and that's a whole other racing conversation, but I feel like this year will be really entertaining. So I know,
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it.
One thumbs down thing real quick is Cam McCall's not on Trek anymore. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I assume it's Trek letting Cam go. But like, what are you thinking? Talk about, it's kind of like the Jack thing, like Jack can't find a ride. You're letting Cam go, like all the pub he gets, like just the personality that he is. And I mean, I've known him for 2 decades now, and like his family's a big reason I kind of am where I am right now, just helping me out a long time ago. But like the impact he has on local scenes and people to keep them stoked on bikes, I imagine on the brand, like, I don't know, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it does make you wonder for sure, right?
I mean, he's been on Trek since that Ellsworth Dare, right? Wasn't he riding a Dare in that video contest?
It was 21 years, I'm pretty sure, that he was with Trek. I think it was 2004.
I think he got on an 04. Yep. Because our first pictures together, he was on an Ellsworth still. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know things like that just make me wonder so much because
because you mentioned
maybe Cam, with where he's at in his career, you just never know. Like maybe he wanted to give room on their team for somebody else, but you would just think of like an ambassador level. I mean, he's been that in a lot of ways for a number of years now, right? And he's super involved in things like all the commentating and
Crankworks, Rampage, like the biggest exposure pieces,
events, it makes you wonder. Yeah, like is there going to be like another announcement of like a new team? See another rider going to Ari? Oh no, everyone's going to Ari.
What I'm not saying this to call out Trek by any means, but I hate to think that the conversation went like, oh, we're choosing to go a different direction sort of thing. It's like, it should be permanent at this stage. It's like
kind of like that idea of keeping sort of well-established contributors to the sport, keeping them involved somehow, So, but yeah, I don't know. That one seemed like a big bummer. So
yeah, I mean, Hans Rader's
if I
at
owned
GT
a bike
for
company,
like 50 years.
if I owned my own bike company, Cam, Jack,
yeah,
top of the list.
Totally. Yeah, that'd be a fun brand.
Okay, to piggyback on your things you're excited for this year, Spomer, with the forum, Lars called me over the weekend to bring back up the idea that we've sort of had about starting a forum for this podcast, which is a great idea, and we're going to do it. And just kind of like Lars was mentioning earlier into this year is just, lessening that gap between industry and riders, and maybe say media and our users with Vital. And so that's kind of the hope for the forum. I'm going to start a thread. I'll probably just start it today and kind of create a spot where people can ask us questions. They can, oh gosh, my Mac just hit 10%.
Plug it in.
Hurry. Yeah, comment, comment, subscribe. No, but I want to be able to have people give us ideas for these podcasts. Like, what do you want to know? And like, try to give us the chance to be really genuine in those answers. And then also just weekly questions would be great. Like, it'd be really fun to, doesn't have to be related to what the topic is, but just be able to chat with people more. So yeah, we'll drop that. I'll try to update it so that people that are subscribed to it get notifications about when there's a new episode planned. And especially too, usually we kind of have an idea the week before, not the Friday before, a few days before, of what the topic will be. So I'll try to drop that in as well so people can engage with it and give us some talking points on it. So I think that'll be
awesome.
That gets me stoked on it. And I think as well, like, I mean, really at the very beginning of this whole idea, Spomer and I talk all the time, and we all the time would have like these hour tangent conversations and be like, we should have just been recording that, And a lot of times those conversations weren't like the most focused on a topic. And so trying to keep that vibe, I think, is fun. But I don't want to have us just coming up with topics all the time, because at some point it might feel forced. And I don't want it to be a forced thing. I don't think it'll feel as good, or the conversation won't
By
feel
the
as good.
people, for the people.
Here we go. Yeah.
By
that's
riders
exactly
for
it.
riders.
So yeah, we'll get that going. Yeah, man. Shout out to Ervan for starting the forum on this last one, and giving us the idea of things to talk about this go around. So I'm stoked for the year ahead. It's going to be good. A lot of exciting things to look forward to.
Yeah, and for everybody that added comments to the favorite things of 2025 that we're referencing, I know that I think we all read through them in depth. So shout out to everybody. Just because you didn't get a call out, we read them all, and they're all awesome. So
Yeah, our users are the best. I love it. It was so genuine. Just people just chiming in to share their stoke, you know? Sweet. Well, hopefully we'll see everybody next week. That's the plan. Leave a comment with who you think is going to win A1 this weekend, and we'll see everybody next week.
Tomac.
Woo.